Hello and welcome to the Final Shots podcast, where we talk about sports, movies, and everything in between. I'm Tara.
And I'm James.
And let's get to it. How you doing, James?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Tara?
I'm good. What are we talking about this week?
Quite a lot of things, so let's get to it, shall we? So our first topic of the day was we watched the Framing Britney Spears documentary, and it highlighted how there's been a campaign by a lot of her fans asking sort of the court to free Britney. And what that means is Britney Spears, who's currently under a contorship.
You mean she does her makeup really well, is that what you mean?
No, that's not, unfortunately. What do I mean,
Conservatorship.
Tara? Yes, and do you want to explain more what that means?
Yeah, so a conservatorship is basically where usually people who are unable to make their decisions, we're thinking about like older people with dementia, things like that. Someone is appointed as their kind of guardian to be in control of all their finances, their life decisions, to kind of help them. This is also like for people who are very at risk of being taken advantage of as well. Okay. It's kind of not usual for it to be of a young person. I think the issue in Britney's case is that she seems very, well, look, I don't know, but she seems very much capable of making her own decisions. Yeah. So why has someone been put in charge of that? Especially as that person is her dad, who's the one person who she said that she didn't want to be in charge of.
So the whole aim also of the documentary is to show that Britney is fit enough to control her money, essentially, or at least what she wants, which she's been clear, as the documentary showed from the start, is even if she was to get into a conservatorship, was that a independent company or a bank would control her finances, not someone personal like her dad. And I mean, I don't know why her dad got appointed it, to be honest, but he has and has still been controlling her since. And essentially, maybe we'll get to this in a few moments, but we have also seen potential signs that Britney does want her dad, well, quite clearly wants her off the comfort.
I think now she's campaigned for it and tried to legally get separated. It's very clear, but like she's been under this conservatorship for 10 years, like over 10 years. I think for the most of that case, it seems like she has chosen not to talk about it, maybe because she's been coerced not to. I don't know the reasons behind it, but everything feels a little dodgy.
It does.
And I can't imagine being in that situation. And just the whole thing, at the end of the day, especially looking at the beginning, her early interviews, she's just a woman who wanted to have a simple life with her family. Like, obviously, it's amazing to be successful and rich and whatever, but she just wanted to be with her kids, and it was heartbreaking. It really was.
And interesting about a conservatorship, as Tara alluded, was it is for more people who can't really control, like they may be mentally incapable of deciding things on their own, but maybe for the last couple of years, maybe not in the recent 1 to 2 years, Britney has been touring. She went on, like, when I remember her, reappearing was on a carpool karaoke. So she clearly is able to work, and if you're able to work, basically able to make your decisions, I don't understand why this conservatorship is still happening. Of course, she did agree. So the documentary does let us know that. So a conservatorship normally is a temporary thing, but then she did agree on it being permanent. And once it becomes permanent, you then, as a conservatee, can't decide now. Oh yeah, now I don't want control anymore. So she has, I guess, made the situation a bit more complicated for herself.
But I think a lot of people have said the reason was so that she'd be able to see her children.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. It just feels like these things should be easier to stop than they are, It should be as easy as it was for her to be put in a conservatorship as it is to be taken out. Also, that's a very long word to keep saying.
Yeah. And there was a lawyer who has said a conservatorship has never been overcome before. That has never been
the one
overturned.
who was on the trial.
Yeah, the one who then a few days or maybe a few weeks after, being on the documentary, joined Jamie Spears' team.
Also, the co-conservator, I think he's left now. The other lawyer that was part of Jamie's team was called Mr. Wallet, which I found quite funny. Because they'd be making lots of money.
Yeah.
They'd be making lots of money.
And we also learn, I think, that they want a farm to get more money because they're doing such a good job.
It's insane.
Which is just it's just contradicting.
Yeah, it just proves that she has exactly.
If she made that much money, this is not a business. This is not trying to profit.
Exactly, they said that's what it was, to look at it like a joint business venture. Exactly. Like, what the fuck?
So that sounds more like a business arrangement rather than for someone who, allegedly can't control herself or can't make her own decisions. But I've also found this documentary was quite interesting in looking at how the media and how the world views successful women. How do you think that, portrayed how we view successful women and how there are different standards, unfortunately, for men and for women?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is the kind of how important image has been throughout Britney's life and her career. Starting from when she was this teenage girl from this small town America, kind of all American Christian girl, with those kind of values as well. Even later you hear Britney saying things like, "Oh, I don't want to have sex before marriage," and things like that. And I guess it is quite a little bit different now, but it's the same idea in the fact that the image of women is so much more important than the image of men. And I think that's kind of shown when you see when she breaks up with Justin. No one's asking what Justin did wrong. It's all about, did Britney cheat, and things like that. And that's kind of a hard clip to watch when Justin's talking to some interviewer, and kind of Britney's been trying to keep this whole image the whole time of, I'm saving myself for marriage and whatever. True or false, it was clear that was important to her.
Yeah.
Brand or not, I don't know personally, but it was clearly important to her, and he just kind of was like, fuck it, I fucked her or whatever. It was just horrible.
Yeah.
And obviously people were cheering for him, but then calling her a slut.
Yeah.
It's a double standard you see all the time. But I think also what was kind of interesting look, which I didn't even think about, was when her brother comes out and starts talking about it. And I can't remember the exact quote, James, but it's pretty. The guy said, was asking him about the women in his family.
Yeah.
And he said something along the lines of, yeah, it can be difficult because the women in our family are strong and they know what they want.
They like to do what they want.
Yeah, and that's, we don't like that, basically. Which was, it's 2020. Can you really think that that's okay to say that? Apparently so.
And the interviewer did call him out. It's like, well,
100%.
This is America. You can do what you want.
Yeah, he's like, you mean basic human rights? It was wicked. I like that. I like that moment. But it's clear that's kind of something that's been, part of her life, especially as someone. Even when Paris Hilton was talking about it, I thought about all these other celebrities. Yes, they are completely controlled in a lot of ways by their managers, by the people who own the companies that they're sponsoring or whatever. And women especially, what they wear, what they look like, how much they weigh, is all being controlled and criticised, like heavily criticised. Especially in Britney's case with all the paparazzi. And also in the fact that, she was very much like, I would say it was interesting. I didn't even think about this as well, with the whole people talking about how it was the era of boy bands and she was a woman, and she was a girl, breaking into that scene. You have this kind of, you're a role model for young girls, but and even that woman, that the mayor's wife, the Texas mayor's wife, fact check me there, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but
some mayor's wife said, if I had a gun, I'd shoot her.
Yeah.
On TV.
Yeah.
Like, how's that okay to say?
I mean, that's completely ridiculous, and it just shows. So I think there's no reasoning here, but the reasoning, I guess, for this mayor's lady is that.
Mayor's lady.
I'm not entirely sure. But I think it's because, I guess, Britney was wearing, provocative clothing, and she didn't agree with that because she thinks girls shouldn't wear that because if you do, you're viewed as, I don't know, like a slut or something like that, which just shows the standard where if women wear sort of attractive clothing, they're viewed as sluts. Well, like, why can't women just wear, nice clothes and not being called out for it? Or people threatening that they would literally shoot them. It just
Yeah.
shows sort of the how all of our mindsets are drilled into the fact that women should just be these sort of
Pure, pristine, can't do anything wrong type of
exactly.
deal.
And
But then also want to make money out of their bodies. So
yeah,
like, what you doing there?
yeah,
Like, also at the same day, like, hit me baby one more time. I mean, maybe Britney chose that outfit. I'm fairly sure that was the men in charge
yeah,
probably chose that outfit and made a lot of money off it. Um, and what some of my favorite scenes like were kind of these early interviews with Britney when she was saying stuff like, "Look, I'm not here to babysit your kids." Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Fucking preach. I love it. Like, as much as I'm there for a good role model, there's nothing better than a good role model for young girls than a woman who can speak for herself and be in charge and do whatever the fuck she likes.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, one final point we did want to particularly make was the impact of paparazzi on not just Britney specifically, but I guess the paparazzi culture. It's this environment where bad news is good news for them, and I think that a lot of people have comparisons of their, say, normal life compared to the glitz and glams of Hollywood, and how, even in regards to footballers or movie stars or singers, they got so much money. They have no problems in the world, but I think it's very easy to forget that these people are just normal people. These people are just like me and you, but they, I guess, had a lucky break, or they are very talented. And the way paparazzi make it so you can't even go to shops and get a loaf of bread without being judged probably by your outfit. Oh, Brittany's wearing this, Brittany's wearing that. Like, that's
And with her kids, like,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
hard, and you think in a kind of, I guess, parallel to that, you think Princess Diana over here,
yeah, of course.
and even Meghan Markle, like, completely destroyed by the press. It's horrible. It really is horrible to see. Like, honestly, just because they're public figures doesn't mean they've signed up for any of this. There's an element they need to be held up to a different standard.
Yeah,
But also they deserve their privacy and their own life as much as anyone else. We're a lot more educated and a lot more understanding of mental health issues in general, and a lot more open about talking about it. And I think it was kind of shocking and horrible to see the kind of jokes being made about Britney.
yeah,
About her shaving her head or attacking people with an umbrella. I remember that. I can't remember how old we were, but I remember seeing that like in newspapers and probably thinking the same thing.
yeah,
Whereas now I see like a single mother not being able to see her two kids being attacked every day by paparazzi. And it's a sorry image. I remember I recently saw on Twitter a clip from the Late Late Show before James Corden had it. Jeez, wasn't it Craig Ferguson?
right,
And he made a really, really good statement being like, and this was at the time, kind of being like, I don't want to joke about this, This is a real live human person. Why are we making fun of this person who's clearly in need of help? And not only did she not get help, but she got basically kidnapped for life. Like, I don't even know what other way to call it. And at the time and now, I also think there's a complete double standard in the way that men are looked at and the way women are looked at with mental health issues. Men are like kooky and funny, which also isn't good. You should take mental health seriously and not just laugh at it. Like, I know with people like Kanye West, he's very much laughed at in a way with things that probably should be taken more seriously.
yeah,
But also, no one has thought we should take power away from this man. Whereas with a woman, they're like, oh, she can't deal with the fame, she can't handle it. You need to take it away from her. basically she's this poor little girl who needs to be controlled rather than she's this woman who needs help. And yeah, I think mental health needs to be looked at and treated with very differently with everyone. But I do think if Britney was a man, this would be very, very different.
Yeah, I think overall in this documentary, I think it did highlight well the paparazzi culture, and it did at least inform me more about the story of Britney Spears and how it, has been a rough, maybe 2 decades for her now, and how she is still being controlled by her father, where all she's asking for is really for someone else to control her money. She's not even just saying, "Oh, I just want my own control." It's, I just don't want my father in the picture, basically.
Pretty fair enough.
So I think hopefully she can get that. But it's a good watch. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I think it's important to know. Yeah, very important to know.
And it does remind you, Britney has some great songs as well.
Oh.
Like, you don't forget it, but they share some incredible songs. And
honestly,
she was awesome.
Yeah, like right in the end, I can't remember who was saying it. I think it was maybe kind of her assistant.
Yeah, Lynn.
Her friend assistant, who was like, at the end of the day, we just want people to remember how talented this young girl was.
Yeah.
And woman still is, Britney's incredible. And I hope that she can end up having a good and happy life. I hope she is, but it seems like she's not. So yeah, thoughts out to Britney. #free Britney. I know we kind of were a bit late on this, but if people haven't watched it, you definitely should.
Yeah.
And I guess moving on to a bit more light-hearted stuff, but also looking at the role of women. A League of Their Own, our sports movie of the week.
Yeah, so that was about how, I guess, around World War II, where men were off fighting the war.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lack of sports people, entertainment, because obviously there were plenty of people. And so set in America, plenty of people still back home.
And as we know in a pandemic, you always need your sport.
Exactly.
Whatever happens, you always need your sport. World wars, pandemics, football keeps on going. Or baseball in this case.
Yes, exactly. And I think there were, I don't know, was it concerns about, baseball in general, but they wanted to get more revenue for the Baseball Association. So they decided to create a women's baseball league.
Yeah. This is all a true story, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
This is, the movie we watched was a 90s movie based off that true story.
Yes, so it came out in 1992.
Okay.
So, some quite famous names in there, to be honest. Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, Madonna.
Madonna. Don't just skip over Madonna. Honestly, she wasn't bad. She wasn't half bad. I'm surprised we haven't seen her in more.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Enjoyed her performance. And there was a Laurie Petty, who plays Lolly Whitehill from Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, it took me ages to figure out why. There were so many faces in there that I was like, definitely recognise this person. Where are they from? We got the IMDb out several times, I will admit. Like Gina Davis.
I mean, I don't really know her, but...
Stuart Little? Are you serious?
I have seen Stuart Little, but that was when I was a kid. So.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't even watch it as a kid. Maybe that's why I remember it more, because, my mum's scared of mice.
Yes.
So I wasn't allowed to watch Stuart Little. So yeah, as an adult, great movie. Gina Davis smashed it as usual.
Come on a podcast.
So A League of Their Own, which also is really hard to Google because of the British TV quiz show. Have you watched the quiz show League of Their Own? James Corden?
I have not heard of League of Their Own, whether it be the movie or the series. So
that is, it's got Harry Redknapp on it, I think.
Probably Jamie Redknapp.
Jamie Redknapp and Andrew Flintoff.
Oh, interesting.
Is that the son of Freddie Flintoff?
I don't know.
Either way, I think Freddie Flintoff is also in it. From a quick scan of the
podcast.
No, yeah. I mean, I'll have to figure out who you are first. Oh, is he football? Is he cricket?
He's cricket. Yeah.
Oh, you don't know. Oh, you don't know.
Cricket.
Okay, fair enough.
Very
Fact
confident.
check, please, listeners. Fact check him out there. Because I also think James talks a big game about sports, but it's quite easy to do that to someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. You could just be talking absolute nonsense and I'd believe it.
As Gokwan says, it's all about the confidence, guys. So moving swiftly on. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Tom Hanks is in it, as I said, and he's, I guess, this washed up star who, has done his knee, so he can't really play anymore, and he wants a job, and he gets given one, but as the coach of the women's team, and he clearly didn't want that.
Not the women's team.
But these women were amazing at baseball, and then he started to get, slowly and slowly more and more invested, and then you see him develop as a coach. But
I'm really glad that him and Gina Davis's character didn't hook up in the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's a kind of typical thing you'd see, but I'm really glad, like, just because it's man and woman doesn't mean that they, need to,
have sex.
Exactly. I took the words right out of my mouth.
And she was a married woman.
Yeah,
so...
but you know what I mean? The whole time I was like, are they gonna, are they not? Whatever. But I'm glad it was just like, okay, they actually just fucking respect each other. He thinks she's wicked at baseball. She thinks he's a bit shit. But, they kind of respect each other and they get on as colleagues, but also friends. I thought it was wicked. I think you were saying you really liked the relationship between the sisters. I think that was so interesting to look at.
Yeah, I mean... So Gina Davis's character was, even though she loved the sport, she had this persona, or at least from the outside was saying how, her most important thing was to create, have a family, which, makes sense if that's what she wanted. But she clearly loved the sport, whilst her sister, played by Laurie, she, really loved the sport, maybe wasn't as talented as her sister. And it was interesting showing, the big sister, little sister relationship. And, of course, we're talking about the movie, so spoiler alert, but it was a nice transition between the very, one of the first few scenes as we see Laurie's character, who, we're going to call her Kit now, because that was her actual, the name of the character.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. How she tried to bat a high ball, I guess, and miss all 3 times, and all of this circles around. So they're on the same team for most of the movie. But then they go into an argument, and Gina Davis's character.
So how well did you research this week, James?
You know what? It's a work in progress. Dotty. Dotty. Her character is Dotty.
You see, I would edit this out, but I think it adds, James. I think it adds to what our listeners think of you.
100%. I say.
So, yes, Dottie and Kit fall out. Kit goes to the other team, and the final match between the two teams is between, obviously, Dottie's team and Kit's team.
Yeah. But then, so at this point, I guess the war is ended. I think ending more. And that her husband, so Dottie's husband, returns, and in a sense, she, I guess, for the period of the 1940s, she stops doing her work and goes back, I guess, to look after her husband, which clearly didn't seem like what she wanted. Even though she said she wanted it, you can tell she loved the game of baseball. And of all time, she was quitting during the playoffs, But anyway, fast forward, you get to the final. The two teams go neck and neck. They go 3-up. They're drawing 3-3. Without Dottie, who is still, decided she's not playing. And then we get to the final, and we get a scene where there's a reveal, and Dottie's playing. And, I mean, is it better late than never? You find out in the movie it was a bit too late, because they...
You feel a little bad for Alice, don't you?
Yeah.
So they got a whole replacement for her, Alice, who trains, plays all the games up to that point, really kind of earned her spot. Sorry, Alice.
Yeah,
Dottie's back.
And I guess there was a final play of the game, and what happened was Dottie got run over by her sister, and if she had caught the ball, they would have won. But she dropped the ball. And it
On
meant...
purpose or not? That is the
See,
question.
I did think it was on purpose. But then the sportswoman in her makes me think she wouldn't do that. She loves the game of baseball too much to taint her like that. Like, she didn't mind subbing her own sister, for example.
But also, she loves her family so much,
That is true. That is true.
And she, I think she kind of, even though they only talked about it afterwards, I think she kind of knew that Kit wanted it more than she did,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, really, really, really interesting.
And that did end up being Dottie's only season playing baseball, and then, start the family. Whereas I think her sister did carry on. But yeah, so at the end, it shows this really lovely scene where there's a, I guess, celebration of the female league, and
Yeah, they're opening like an exhibition, I think.
And there's a reunion between the whole team, and you see them all old, with their families together. And so before this, they made up this song they sang, and at the end of the movie, they sing the song again to reminisce about their time, of this camaraderie, which so many sports people say you don't miss the playing, you don't miss the training, I guess, but you miss your friends, your teammates. That environment you don't always get, like, for the rest of your life. That is maybe the best time you'll ever experience, at least professionally anyway. So honestly, really good movie. Enjoyed Tom Hanks as well as one of his more earlier roles, for sure. He looked very young, as did Madonna.
Madonna, man.
Yeah,
we haven't talked enough about Madonna from Madonna
Bit
movie,
criminal.
James. Bit criminal. All I'll say is, love the acting. Where was the singing? Where was the singing?
Did we know if she sung before this role? I'm guessing she did.
She's Madonna!
I don't know.
I mean, Madonna's been around for a while.
Hey, put a bit more respect on Madonna's name.
She's definitely around before 1992.
Ah, yeah, true.
I mean, how much Madonna do you actually know, James?
Hardly anything.
I bet you only know the only got 5 minutes, Save the World.
Yes.
Justin Timberlake. Only the noughties classics.
A few more. Did she perform at Eurovision? ?
Oh my gosh! I mean, to be fair, I don't even know, but I don't
she's
think
American.
so. Yeah, I really don't think so.
Okay.
How old do you think Madonna is?
Right now?
Just curious, yeah.
50.
Higher.
55.
62.
Wow,
exactly,
amazing.
Exactly.
Amazing.
I mean, she looks great for it, so I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. But Like a Virgin was like 80s, pretty much. She was just like an 80s queen. So to say, was she around before 92? Was she making music? Disgrace, James. Anyway, enough about Madonna. What did you think in general of this movie? And kind of what it looked at about women in sport and things like that.
I think, so we're seeing a lot more women's sports coming at the forefront now, even like with, women's football. But it was interesting looking at sort of dynamics in the movie where they were saying how they wanted to sell this brand of women's baseball as a more provocative sport. They got them to wear dresses instead of the normal uniform because that's what, men like.
Yikes.
And I think that is a difficulty in women's sport, is just the fact that women are also great at sport, but there is this barrier they have to overcome, which is sad to say that, men's sport is just so easy for people to sort of get invested in.
If you're good at it, you do well.
Yeah,
people watch you. I think the issue we saw back in the 40s,
quite a long time ago,
in that movie, but also what you see today is just the audience. The women were incredible. The people there were like, wow, these are some incredible players. Yet no one was there to watch it, and therefore they didn't get the money, they didn't get the funding. And I think that was quite interesting seeing, like you were saying, they kind of tried to use other means to like raise attention, because they were like, you know what, it doesn't matter, people aren't going to watch our game, fuck it, let's just do whatever we can, who cares? If they're going to make us wear dresses, let's go fucking kiss people, catch a foul ball. I love it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really funny, but also like kind of believable. I don't know if that really happened in real life, but yeah, you would, right?
Yeah. As long as you're fighting for your existence, like you try to do whatever you can, as long as you own it.
Yeah, use what they're doing against them. You know what I mean? But I think it's interesting. Like while we're watching, like we've talked a lot about like women's football and how to get it more like popular. I mean, I say women's football because I don't know much about the other sports like WNBA, things like that. But you know, very, very dumb question. I'm sure there's plenty of reasons why not. You know, so we talked about other tactics like playing women's football before men's football. You know, like the Arsenal women team before the men's team games, things like that, and the kind of pros and cons of that. Why don't we just do women's football out of season with men's football?
As in to play the women's season when it's not men's season.
Yeah, because you think about it, the reason why these women finally got to be shown was because there weren't any men.
Yeah.
Can women fight against men in this kind of society? I don't know. I mean, hopefully at some point. But in the meantime, why don't we just not fight for the same space and just have different space?
Well, it's interesting because I think what I'd say is, I mean, I don't fully know the actual times for when the women's season starts, to tell you the truth. So I cannot comment. I don't know when it starts.
Fair dues.
Like, fair dues. I actually don't think it aligns with...
You know what, James? You know what I've said on this podcast and many others? Maybe it's time to do some research. Get back to me on the next podcast. I'm joking, that was a bit out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a proper discussion about this and like the ways we can look forward to kind of becoming a more equal sporting system. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of inequality in sport. Not even looking at like, trans issues and kind of homophobia and everything in sport. But yeah, I don't think we can cover that in our next 10 minutes. So, what do you think of the Man City game?
Clearly, because we both know a lot about it.
No, but sorry, listeners, we will become educated and we will...
This is a journey, guys. A journey.
We all need to work to be better. And we're getting there one day at a time. So, do you know who's also getting better one day at a time?
Who?
Man City!
Oh,
Man City, I'm sorry about this, but there was the Man City Arsenal game.
Yes.
And let's just say it wasn't a fun watch. Yeah. Maybe for City fans, the first 2 minutes were quite fun. Unfortunately, we missed the first 2 minutes. We came in on the third minute.
And then 1-0 up, and not much change.
Not much change, sadly.
What did you think of the game?
My thoughts. Sadness, despair, frustration. Is that enough?
Yeah. I mean,
no, I will say it. Like, I mean, I'd like to watch more football and kind of understand the kind of the plays and stuff. But I think, I mean, the whole thing I was saying to you throughout this whole game, which was probably a bit mean, I probably should have just let you cry in peace, was why are Arsenal so inconsistent? I mean, this is unfair because Man City is right now just destroying everyone, so it's not really Arsenal's fault, but what leads to this kind of inconsistency? Is Arsenal a good team? Is Arsenal a bad team? They are the Nicolas Cage of Premier League football.
Wow. Wow.
Is that not hot take of the week? Arsenal and the Nicolas Cage of Premier League football.
So, for this game alone against Man City, I don't think you would necessarily expect Arsenal to win anyway. Mm-hmm. They are currently on a run of 18 games, winning 18 straight games, showing the form of Man City, who, as I said last week, will comfortably win the Premier League. So why are Arsenal so up and down? Well, firstly, I would like to say is the Premier League have a lot of quality teams, which means, as the saying goes with Premier League, anyone can beat anyone, and that really legitimately is true. Financially, they're one of the top teams in the Premier League, which means they're still a top team because of the financial pool and the historic sort of
success. I'm sorry, this is a tough subject for you. I understand this, James. Not to keep, beating a dying dog. Is that the phrase? But is this a management issue then? If they have the money to buy the good players, is it a management issue? They've been through a couple of managers. Arteta was looking promising. Is it time for him to leave? Please say no. I love watching him. He's the only reason I watch the games. He is a brunette Carlisle. Prove me wrong. Sorry.
What I would say is there has been a few puzzling choices maybe in the transfer window. So the squad itself, it still needs addressing. So there are issues like only recently Emile Smith-Rowe has been a revelation and coming into the side, but attacking midfield was a big issue. And without a creative hub, it has meant that Arsenal on the attacking side has not had a reliable source of supply for the strikers, Aubameyang, and without playmakers around your striker, any team's going to find it hard to score. Defensively, Arsenal have struggled for a long while. We have seen improvement, which is why Arsenal are on potentially a trajectory upwards, but
they won the FA Cup last year.
Exactly, and that was such a potential great stepping stone. It clearly hasn't helped them progress because they are currently 10th as I look at the table now.
10th is not bad. But it's better than the beginning of the season.
Well, exactly, and also there is context involved because it's such a close season where we are behind Liverpool only by 6 points. Only by 6 points.
Liverpool. Is that saying good things about us or bad things about Liverpool?
I mean, I think particularly bad things about Liverpool, who are on a horrendous run. And
is it goodbye Pep?
Well, Klopp.
Oops. Who's Pep?
Probably
City?
not goodbye Pep on Man City, who will probably win the Premier League. But that'll be quite harsh.
Will he clop away?
Oh,
hey. Saving it with a joke.
The question could be, will Liverpool finish in the top 4? And they're currently 5 points behind West Ham, which is ludicrous. Who West Ham beat Spurs on the weekend. Is being aside from who's going to win a Premier League, which now honestly is consolidated, but
I mean, Man City, right?
Yes.
Oh, Pep must have a pep in his step, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
Did I win it back?
But for West Ham to be 4th, which is credit to David Moyes, it's been such an unpredictable season, and the race for top 4 will be very tense. And if Liverpool don't make it, that will be the shock of the season.
Do we make bets on this podcast?
We can do.
I think maybe I won't.
Would you like to propose?
I think maybe I won't. Let's just leave it as that. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see when things get a little closer. But across the pond.
Okay.
We also it was quite a sporty week for us.
Yes.
Considering, you know what, I do enjoy a match myself.
Okay.
But I feel like we never really sit down and watch any. We did, however, catch the Pelicans versus Celtics. Or,
Yes.
as I like to call them, the Celtics, as they should be pronounced.
So, as someone who I guess doesn't watch as much NBA, not saying I watched that much, what were your thoughts? How was the game?
Okay. So, we started off. And already, because I have my preconceived notions, I was just chatting shit about the basketball. I was saying, why are there so many ads? Why is everyone breaking? You know, why is we... Like, literally, there was like 45 seconds left of the clock. And there was so much stoppages. I was like, what is happening? What is actually happening?
This game did not help the stereotype of American football stop. Oh, sorry, American sports stop every second.
But do you know what it did, James?
Please.
It showed me that even though I was saying why football's so much more exciting, why, because they score so much, it doesn't even matter when they score, what the hell's happening. Sorry, going on my rant again. It did show me all these things can lead to a very exciting game, which is what we saw the other night.
Yeah, so a game with the Celtics and Pelicans. We've got some key stars: Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. We've got Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. So I think the Celtics led maybe as much as 24 points, and the Pelicans
in the third quarter, James. In the third quarter,
exactly. And the Pelicans drew it and then sent it to overtime, and they somehow got the win. Like Tatum did level it up to send it. Tatum sent it into overtime because the Pelicans somehow led. But aside from an amazing shot by Tatum, very clutch.
It was just every point was a battle. It was insane.
It was neck and neck.
It was brutal out there.
Neck and neck. There was definitely a lot of officiating calls, deciding what came off.
Getting out that fingers. VAR, you know?
The American VAR.
Was there as much controversy about that as the UK one? Do you know if they had that before we did?
I don't know, because I guess the officiating is being quite an integral part of the NBA for... Well, I mean, I've been following, for 2 years now?
Yeah.
This being my second year, so... or third year, maybe.
Ooh.
Third year, actually. So,
check you out.
Quite the experienced veteran. Clearly enough. But, no, so it's ingrained in the culture in a way. VAR clearly has plenty of resistance.
Yeah.
That's not to say NBA fans in general don't know that the final seconds of the game, as exciting as this game was, it really was, end to end. NBA fans, and just, I guess, why general fans can find it difficult to get into basketball is there are a lot of stoppages. And to put this right, the stoppages are needed, the timeouts, so that the head coaches give their game plans and bring the ball forward are integral parts. It's like chess. I'm going to move my rook here so my horse can go there.
So they're just lazier. Is that what you're saying? They're just lazier. They can't run for 90 minutes is what you're saying. They got nothing on our boys.
But no, NBA can be a very fun and exciting game. And I hope you did enjoy.
It was great. I was really trying not to like it. But I think we chose a very good game to watch, and I can't deny it. But speaking of many, many points and leads and etc., I don't know quite how to make this transition. You had a good week last week with fantasy. How was this week?
So just to stretch the positivity of last week, I did end up with 104 points.
104. Is that your first triple points of the season?
Yes. So I mean, you don't get many hundreds anyway, or at least I don't, right? But it is sweet, and it is my first one of the season. I've had a few hundreds, of course, but. So very good showing. Had a good captain, Gundogan, with 19 points. Only played the one game, even though there's 2 games. But can't complain with 38 points. So going on to this week, and could we say, so there's a double game week on, and I've got 3 players playing twice. All Leeds players with Rafinha, Dallas, and Bamford, with Bamford being my captain. So far, he's only got 2 points.
Yikes.
So not the best return, to be honest.
What's his next game?
Playing Southampton.
What team is he on?
He's on Leeds.
Okay, so he could do all right.
Well, that's what I hope for. But I guess so far my week has been pretty average, to be honest. Such is my faith in Arsenal. I did have 3 Man City players and 2 defenders kept the clean sheet each, and the only other sort of person worth mentioning is Bruno Fernandes with another goal and assist, another penalty. So, he didn't really do it himself, but he's been on an incredible run. He's scored four straight. He's scored in 4 straight games. So that's 15 goals and 12 assists
Why don't you captain him?
in 25 in 25 games. That's a very astute point. So I think I got clouded by the fact that I had players playing twice. So I put Bamford as my captain, and Bruno against Newcastle probably should have been the correct choice.
It's understandable. It's understandable. Though. Do you have any, just as a long-term question?
Yeah.
Do you have any chips left?
That's a very interesting question. And no, Tara does not mean Doritos or Quavers.
Ha ha ha. Insert fake laughter here.
Ha ha ha. Speaking of that, next week is actually potentially the most exciting game week that will happen this season. And the reason for that is because there are 6 extra games for the game week, so 16 games. That means a total of 14 teams are playing twice.
Mm-hmm.
Which means everyone's going to play twice. Double game weeks galore.
Love it.
Regarding chips, I've got a triple captain and a bench boost. Bench boost means your whole bench gets points. Triple captain means your captain triples in points.
I'm glad you haven't used that so far, because you would have been quite disappointed.
Yes. Well, I was planning to do a bench boost, but I don't know if my bench is quite looking as tasty as I want it to be. So I currently have 10 players who will play twice, and I will make that 11 by the end of the game week deadline. So maybe it's looking more likely I'll do a triple captain on a Mohamed Salah or Bruno Fernandes for my mistake. But clearly, if I captain him this week, he won't do anything. So that is the rule and the curse of fantasy football. But it should be exciting game week where, you love when everybody plays twice. But clearly, the players who you think will play twice just won't. They'll get rested. It should be very exciting.
I mean, I'm glad you haven't used the triple captain chip, knowing your choice of captains. But just technically, surely you use it in a double game week. What's the advantage of not?
Well, I think it's more the fact of the last game of the season is always known to have really high scores, which is why double game weeks increases the chances of more points because there's more games.
Yeah.
But if your player doesn't play twice, he's only playing one game, which then you've potentially wasted your triple captain. And it depends on the quality of the opposition.
Yeah, and maybe he's tired,
Yeah, exactly.
Double
and
game
they're
week,
tired.
Knackered,
So that's
everyone needs a break sometimes.
Exactly. So maybe that's one reason why I wouldn't do my triple captain, because I know the last game of the season is so unpredictable and can be quite high scoring that's worth it as a second choice, basically.
Quality over quantity, I see.
Exactly. But I do normally these chips are a lot better and should be used during double game weeks, but they don't always go as expected.
I mean, I'm glad you didn't use it. That's all I'll say. Well, hopefully we'll get a few more points against Leeds.
No, Leeds are playing Southampton.
Okay,
so
I have not been listening very well. I apologise. I will be doing better next time. We're all doing better, aren't we? We're all doing better. So, going on to our last segment of the week. Top creator for you?
Maybe not for this week specifically, but just in general, I particularly enjoy Football Daily, which is a YouTube channel, who also have a joint channel which is also called the Euro Football Daily. So essentially, they are one entity.
I didn't even know that. I watched Football Daily. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so they're mainly no.
I'm a fake fan.
They're a group of guys who talk a lot about what's happened in a week of football, sort of headline stories, such as, this week they're talking about how to replace your club's best players, like, for example, with Man City, with Aguero coming maybe to the end of his time there. Who could come there? Is it Haaland? Is it Kane? Mbappe would be very exciting. But they just talk a lot about how they, you could rebuild sides and just about the results. And Football Daily is talking more about the domestic football, so Premier League, while Euro Football Daily covers La Liga, Serie A, Liga and the Bundesliga. And they have a podcast as well, and they're, well-informed guys and use stats to back up their arguments and points. And they release a video every day, so you'll never be short of football content. So definitely worth a listen, watch, whichever you choose.
Wicked. Well, I do love a bit of Football Daily, even though I have revealed I am a fake fan. However, what I am not a fake fan of is the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. So, late last year, I introduced James to Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, you did.
Slightly unsuccessfully, maybe. I think, so we watched Pride and Prejudice, we watched Bridget Jones. Of course, Pride and Prejudice, I mean the Colin Firth version, the only version we talk about.
Mr. Dark.
And he came out preferring Bridget Jones, which was
classic.
not the plan.
Oh my God. Anything with Hugh Grant just wins, doesn't it?
I mean, I love it too, so I can't criticise, but I feel like you weren't quite for the original story. However, another version, which we will watch at some point, but which I've kind of been dabbing into recently, and I've watched this 1,000 times, came out 8 years ago, the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which is Pride and Prejudice, modern day, vlog version.
Wow.
Amazing. Loved it. Co-created by Hank Green from the Vlog Brothers and Bernie Sue. And it's just so great. It's so great. I could rewatch it 1,000 times. I love it. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's I think it won like a primetime Emmy. It was like YouTube's first primetime Emmy.
Nice.
And Bernie Sue's actually working on is on like season 3 of his Twitch live streamed scripted show. Called Artificial, which is also won an Emmy, I think, which was Twitch's first Emmy. Insane. That man just keeps making masterpieces. Keep watching, guys.
I mean, as a concept, it sounds great.
It is great. Watch it.
Better than Pride and Prejudice?
In
your opinion?
They're very different.
Sell it to me, because...
Oh, yeah. I mean, you'll like it. It. It's modern day speak.
Cool.
It's... I think Pride and Prejudice... You love it because the characters are so great, but I think it is difficult to jump right into it. I watched it after having read it, and I think obviously when you read it, like, you're very much used to the language, you understand exactly what's going on. Whereas I think, especially with something, slightly older, as in the version, I think it was like 2005 or whatever, plus based on something very much older, things do kind of fall under, a bit harder to understand. Not calling you dumb or anything, James.
I mean, I definitely didn't get it, is all I can say. But that makes me dumb, so be it. On that rosy note, let's pick our next sports movie of the week.
Let's see what we got.
Awesome. Right.
Oh, wait. No, my choice.
Yes, your choice.
Oh, you shake it up.
Just shaking it up, Tara,
I'm sorry.
Please.
And this week's movie is... drumroll. Wimbledon! Another Kirsten Dunst.
Awesome. So on that note, I would like to maybe add just a bit more sports news, because everyone loves sports.
Of course.
Novak Djokovic won his 18th Grand Slam. 2 behind Australian Open, of course. 2 behind now Nadal and Federer, and the debate of who the next who will end up being the GOAT of tennis is quite an interesting and fascinating debate, which Djokovic honestly will end up at least with the most Grand Slams. Thoughts?
You always want people to do better and kind of smash through records. In this case, I don't. I want it to end with Federer and Nadal joint place for all time. That is what I want.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Djokovic. I want you to end on 7. I don't know how many.
He's currently on 18.
Okay, so get that 19th to feel better.
3 of them.
Yeah, he's got to do it. It just makes me sad.
Yeah. Because
I feel like we were in that era, you know? We were rooting for those guys, you know. I remember watching the one where Nadal won.
Yeah,
for the first
7
time.
sets, like, it got really dark on the BBC. That was an amazing match. And because it's fair to say you're more of a Federer fan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm definitely more of a Nadal admirer.
As my mum is.
Who doesn't love that left hand?
Oh, gosh. Either way, what a time to be alive.
Exactly. And credit to Novak Djokovic, but it just doesn't give me the best vibe sometimes, you know? And he is just a tag along on the Federer and Nadal. But maybe we're being a bit harsh. Clearly have our allegiances, but that's for another pod.
And on that note, see you next time.
Final shots.
Thank you for listening.